hot take in Texas has a legitimate quarterback controversy. There was an article I think that came out. Sorry to cut you off. There was an article that came out, and there was a lot of stuff that kind of was, it wasn't really trending, if you want to say that. It was a couple of weeks ago where they were saying that they're going to be they're battling it out up there. Our old Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers. So, but let's take it away there, Chris.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little early on that. I just want to hear this. I don't think there is a controversy. Quinn Ewers played fucking great last year. He is the starter. Until he shows that he is declined or looks like shit, I guess, for more than a quarter or two, and they're in a big game, I don't even still think they pull him, man. They rode with this guy last year. He had a good year. Texas is definitely going to be better this year. I don't see how this – I know it's Arch Manning, right? Highly recruited. The last name has a lot to do with it. I get it. I 100% understand that. This kid is going to get his time to shine, without a doubt. It's just I don't see it happening this year. And I hate to say this, man. When you brought your boy up on the list, I'm like, fuck, well, you obviously agree with me because he's going to be way up there in the quarterback list. So you think he's going to be playing a lot, right? Manning did not impress me. And now we're talking about fucking high school here, and I don't want to get into that. But I believe you brought it up on the first podcast that they were playing somebody, man. He got outplayed in that game last year. It was one of those last games or one of their playoff games or something like that. And I had seen some of that tape and I had read the comments and I mean, he's had a lot of hype since he was just a young dude, man. There's a lot of pressure on that kid, by the way. I mean, look at both his uncles, right? And then his grandpa. I mean, Jesus, man, that's a hell of a last name to live up to. I just don't see it this year, though. I don't. Ewers is not a scrub, bro. This guy is not and you know this. I mean, you have him very, very, I believe you have him fourth on your list. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, listen, I think there is, and I think there isn't. That's the most probably middle of the road thing. I think there is. Let me say it this way. Let me give you my reason why I could see both sides of it. I think that you could make the argument because this is the exact reason why he picked Texas. He picked Texas, not necessarily because he wanted to be a trailblazer. I mean, that might have played into it, but I think the reason why he picked Texas was because they knew Steve Sarkisian, they knew that program. They're pretty desperate to do anything to win and get big-time talent in there. And you can go to Texas if you're a good enough athlete and you're a good enough football player, and you can pretty much do whatever you want to do. Right? The Mannings, they like to, you got to think, this is a family that literally said, with Peyton, he goes all the way back with Peyton. They didn't let Peyton do anything at the combine. Did not want to do it because they wanted to be able to control the narrative. Smart move. Great. You go to Eli, was drafted by the Chargers. They said, nope.
Daddy stepped in and said, no. I agree.
This is a family that they know exactly. They're like Aaron Rodgers. They know exactly what they're doing. It may look like they're kind of, he's just all shucks. No, they're pulling strings. They know exactly what they're doing. And I think Texas is that program where they can pull the strings. They can do what they want behind the scenes. There's a lot of influence there. And I think Sark is the kind of guy where, again, I personally believe Steve Sarkisian is the kind of guy that they can sort of go to and say, hey, we want you to do this. And he would do it. Think about the teams that were kind of in it, there at the end on him. And that was Georgia, Alabama, right? Some of these programs. You're not going to Nick Saban or Kirby Smart telling them how to run their program.
Fuck no.
I mean, you can get away with doing that with old Sark. But to me, that's why I could see a little bit of a day one quarterback controversy. Last year, and this is why I think that there's not a legit one anyways. This might be a legit quarter, but I don't think it's legit. I think it's a situation where Quinn Ewers, I mean, if he played in that game against Alabama, there is not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that Texas beats Alabama last year.
Whoa.
Not a shadow of a doubt. Think about this. It was a one-possession game. I think Texas was actually leading majority of that game.
They were.
With a backup quarterback in Hudson Card, who's now at Purdue, who was playing on one leg. Texas was...
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on your take there, but I will interject on this controversy, and I got a question for you.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's say they start Ewers. I mean, do you see Ewers starting out as a starting quarterback start of the season? That's my first question.
100%, yeah.
What happens if he plays great, dude, and they're winning games? They blow out Oklahoma, they beat Oklahoma, and they keep rolling. You think they're going to pull that kid if he's playing well enough for a kid that I know is, got all this fucking hype behind him and all this shit? You know what I mean? Do you see that happening? Even I know it's Sark, and I know this is not Nick Saban. I understand that. Do you see that happening?
No, I don't see that happening at all. I don't think if he plays great, no, why would you? I mean, especially if very early on in the season, they beat Alabama, which, I mean, they're going to, let's just be honest.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You don't think they're going to beat Bama?
No, I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't have, we're hypothetically speaking here, and I know people are going to be down on Bama this year. They don't return a ton of people. You've laid it out there for everybody in the world to know that you have a bigger penis than I do. So you think. I'm telling you, though, bro, I just don't. I think Nick Saban this year, it is going to be, I think their defense is going to be much more improved. I think they're going to fucking lay the law down there, and I think they're going to beat them. Now, is it going to be close? I think so, but Texas hasn't proven a shit ton either, man. They haven't. I mean, did they look good last year? They look better, sure. But are they where? I mean, we're talking about Bama here, man. Bama, even though they had a down year in Bama terms last year, as far as win-loss goes, I can't do it yet. I can't say Nick Saban's done. I can't.
I don't know, man. I think Sark had his number last year. I think it's a situation where if they had even one remotely decent, not top 10, but just a decent quarterback on that field, they had a legitimate shot. There was just clock management down there at the end of the game. There was certain decisions. It was kind of like, man, what are we doing? And Alabama did Alabama-like things, came back, won the game in the final seconds. And yeah, I think here's the reality of the situation, though, right? Last year, done and over. As much as I don't want it to be, but it is. I think if sometimes when you've been the guy, like you said, I think Ewers is that guy. But I think he's been that guy a lot longer than Arch Manning has. I mean, the kid's getting like Lamborghini SUVs and stuff like that and burnt orange and shit delivered to him and getting them,
I hadn't thrown a single college pass yet.
Right. So all I'm saying is if he doesn't come correct, I mean, man, and this Manning kid, and sometimes when you get that hype, who is it? There's somebody out there. No, it's Nick Saban. Nick Saban does a great job at that, where you get all the hype in the world, and he calls it rat poison, right? It motivates him. He gets pissed off about it, and he gets his players to be pissed off about it. And I think if that's the mentality that Arch Manning has going into this, and Quinn Ewers starts kind of prima donnaing it a little bit, I don't know, man. He could come out of this camp a lot closer to a quarterback controversy going into the fall.
And I'm not going to disagree 100%, but I mean, just where, like I said, my stance is, I just don't see them. I don't think it's a true controversy yet. We haven't seen this kid throw a pass yet. If Ewers goes out, I mean, write this down. If he goes out and looks like shit the first 2 games, all hell breaks loose. Then it is, you know what I mean? Then it's practices, and it's fucking whoever's winning that damn job in practice is going to be starting. I'm not saying the Manning kid won't be successful. He will be, without a fucking doubt. You bring up a great topic. If they didn't catch this, they should catch the part where you just talked about 10 minutes ago about the Mannings and how they've kind of manipulated with those kids. I mean, I remember very vividly the New York Giants and how the Chargers had to trade, or not the Chargers, but the who the fuck was
the
Giants? It wasn't the Chargers. Drew Brees got moved because of that.
Yeah,
that whole fucking deal. And it was crazy. So yeah, they definitely. You make a great point. That's a great point about how they probably see Sark and say, hey, you might be able to talk to this guy on the side, and hey, and people don't think that shit goes on. It does. But you're exactly right about Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, probably even like a guy like Brian Kelly have a lot of clout in the college game. They run the program. You know what I mean? That's how that goes.
Yeah, like I said, and by the way, just so you know, I want to call it right here. I've said this a while back, but I'll say it again. Here's how this starts to unravel for Texas, and this is kind of what I think could be the signal of the end. And that is this whole Arch Manning experiment at Texas goes wrong. There's going to be signs, by the way. There'll be signs. People are going to start losing their job.
Oh,
100%. People are going to start losing their job, right? Then what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of rumors about Steve Sarkisian and maybe some misconduct. Isn't that a funny thing, by the way? Whenever programs are winning, the rumors are always kind of tampered down. You don't hear anything until the end of the season. But God forbid, if you're not winning, those rumors they start coming out and coming into the surface a lot quicker.
Sarkisian, dude, has more writing on this than the kid and everybody else.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's got his. I mean, if they look bad and Manning comes in and doesn't look great, if he does come in, I'm sure he will at some point in the season. I see that happening. They're going to play the kid a little bit here and there, depending what Ewers does, right? This is hypothetically speaking. He can lose his job right away, and he's going to be known as a shitty fucking coach over there. He's got more to lose than anybody in this thing because he's the guy behind the helm, right? You're the guy running the show, And I'm with you 100%. It's a very interesting take. I mean, we could talk about that on a different take or a podcast someday about that for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. The last two things that'll happen is obviously you'll have players transferring, and then you're going to have ultimately Steve Sarkisian and or Arch Manning transferring out of the program. Here's the reality of the situation, though. If I'm Steve Sarkisian, the big thing that I'm probably telling Arch Manning is, hey, listen, grab a clipboard, get in the weight room, get in the film room, be on the practice field, and don't expect to play this year.
Here's the prop, Christian. 100% agree with you. I'm an old school guy. This kid's been fucking coddled since, I don't want to say coddled, right? But he's been told he's the best since he was 5, right? I mean, he's got an ego. I don't know the kid personally. I haven't even really heard him talk much, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, fuck it. In today's age of college football where it's NFL free agency, I didn't play much or didn't get to play as much as I fucking wanted to. I'll use a perfect example of a kid right now that was very highly recruited. And we just touched on him earlier, Spencer Rattler. This kid was the number one fucking quarterback ever out of Arizona. Stat-wise, name it all. Goes to Oklahoma, seems to really have the Brett Favre problem where I really like to force a ball into a spot I shouldn't probably be forcing it. Too many interceptions. My backup's Caleb Williams. He takes job. I fucking transfer out. I see that. I could see this happening that way too. You know what I mean? Manning gets his shot. A lot of clout behind him. A lot of fucking people trying to support him. I get that. But it happens more often than not, though, where in today's age, I don't want to grab that clipboard, Christian. I don't want to fucking sit there behind somebody. I've been number one and started every single day of high school as a freshman. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's kind of the mentality of kids nowadays. And I could touch on this. I could talk about this for 2 hours about the entitlement thing that's gone on in college football. Nobody wants to hear the word no. No, you're not starting. You know what I mean? Maybe it's best you sit for a year or sit for, God, injuries happen, right? And I mean, that could happen to Ewers. It's the fucking third play of the game. He tears an ACL. That shit happens. And you get your opportunity. We see that with guys in the NFL all the time. Justin Herbert, guys like that weren't supposed to play, get in right away, and holy shit, they take the world by storm. That could happen too. I'm not saying this kid can't play overall. I don't want any Texas haters to come across me, saying that I don't believe in Manning. No, I just think it's best that a kid sits for a little bit, gains a little experience. We all know he's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with you. I think in the world today where it's now, you've got to be ready to come into college and play right now. I think a kid like Arch Manning, who in my opinion, they had him tabbed as the number one player, number one quarterback in the class, when he came out. Like, to me, I just think that was way too damn high. I think they kind of redid the rankings a little bit and everything like that. He was still pretty highly rated. To me, the kid was not a 5-star quarterback. Okay. From everything I saw, and I'm just being honest with you, against the competition that he played, because you have to take a look at that. They played against a prep team out of Florida, and the best team on that, and the best player on that team out of Florida, this was not last year, it was the year before, was a 3-star running back. And at the time, Manning was the number one player in the country for his class. That 3-star running back that committed to Iowa State looked significantly better than he did. He even picked him off, and he's a running back. You know what I mean? And it was like right to him. So here's the reality of the situation. I'm telling you right now, based off what I've seen, based off everything like that, he needs to sit, or not Manning needs to sit, needs to get that time in there and just learn at the college level. I mean, make the mistakes at practice. He's going to get better just by going against Texas. I mean, hell, they had a top 5 recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken. Couple of top 10 recruiting classes over the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, and you're not wrong about that. And I'm with you. I thought he was kind of overrated, if I can use that word, you know, just from the tape that I've seen on him. And like I said, I am not a high school quarterback expert at all, but I thought the last name probably carried him a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at his uncles. So like, I get it. Do I think the kid's going to be successful in college? Absolutely. But I just don't think it's this year. I think Ewers is not a scrub to me. I think anybody that's watched that kid play, man, he's not this isn't like an Iowa situation or an Illinois or somebody like that. Like, this kid can play. I mean, you have him very high in your rankings this year, and Texas should be able to put up some fucking numbers. I mean, I think this kid's going to be fine. I hope Sark does the right thing, tells him to sit for a little bit. If something does happen, injuries happen. All this shit happens, man. I just don't. I 100% agree with you, man. That's all I can really say on this.